Okay, so this is attempt 4 of this video. The last one got to 10 minutes and I just, yeah, I was waffling and I deleted it because I don't know how to edit or anything. So yeah, if I go wrong, I just like, oh, sod it, start again. So yeah, this video, completely different to anything I've done before. It's on healing, and it's not necessarily just healing in terms of your big relationship, but it can be obviously healing. I know personally I was, I keep trying to say the word guilty. I'm trying not to say the word guilty because I don't carry guilt, so it's a stupid word to use, but I was hard work in my marriage. I know that, and I know I'm a hard person to love in general, and yeah, my ex-husband was a saint for putting me up with me as long as he did. Well, he wasn't a saint in terms of obviously things that he did in our relationship, but in terms of yeah, how he coped with me for all those years, because I pushed buttons constantly. I would, what's it going to take? What? And it was a chicken and an egg scenario because he cheated on me quite early on. But I think I've always had that anyway of, what's it going to take? I know you're going to leave me, you're going to let me down, you're not going to... And I would push and push and push and kick off and scream and shout and smash things, and he'd stand there and he'd stick by me through thick, through thin, through everything. And yeah, I was bloody hard work. And that's something that I've had to work on as well. Of myself, not just why my marriage didn't work out, but why in general I'm hard work as a person. Which obviously, going back to one of my other videos, when I did a video on whether or not I'm on the spectrum and those kind of things, a lot of that kind of makes a hell of a lot of sense to me of why I am the way I am in some ways, but then there's also obviously traumas and things that happen to you that don't help either. So yeah, my marriage ended, well, my marriage ended too many times, to be honest, and I didn't always have healthy boundaries, and there's a lot of things to blame for that. Well, not blame, but I don't know whether some of it's confidence, whether it's, I don't know, not blame my mum, but she has that kind of like, you marry someone, that's your choice, you stick with it thick and thin and all those kind of things, and I don't always think that that's the right attitude, because obviously I honestly think if I didn't have my children, then that cycle probably would have gone for another 20 years. You know, if something happened, you split up, you get back together, you go, and it's not healthy. And I think the only reason that I wouldn't ever have gone back at that point, I mean now I wouldn't obviously go back because I've healed and moved on and everything else, but at that point when it finally ended, I think the only reason that I would have actually sat down and gone, right, I'm not doing this anymore, is because I didn't want Ella or Jade growing up thinking that that's how relationships are, that you drop people, you pick them up, you treat them like shit and then it's okay, and that's not how relationships should be and not how they are. So yeah, I think that's the biggest sign when you have actually healed, is when no matter what you wouldn't go back. That's the sign that you're really healed, and it's a long process. I mean, technically, I mean in terms of like being in a happy marriage, it's been literally over 5 years. The twins are about to turn 5, so yeah, over 5 years. In terms of when it actually ended, when we last split up, it was probably 2.5 years ago, so it dragged on a hell of a longer than it should have done. But that's life, isn't it? And you have to do what you have to do at the time, and at the time I didn't always feel strong enough to get out of that situation, or you'd get out of it and then you'd think, but it could be different to go back and all those kind of things. But that's not even really what this video is about. It's more about not guilt of how I've been since, but it's took me a long time to heal to a point where I could see an actual future with somebody else. And I think that's, I don't know, it's partly because I always had that in the back of my head, well, one day I'll go back. So this will never be permanent because one day I'll go back. And I mean, the first relationship I had since the last, I mean, when we split up previously, so we'd split up obviously a few times when the twins were quite young, and I'd maybe dated a little bit, but I'd never had any like actual relationships. And then when my marriage ended for the last time, I think within a month, I was in another relationship, and my mum was horrified at the time. And I mean, to me at the time, I saw it as, it's been such a long time coming that this marriage is over, that, you know, it's been dead for a long time, even though we've not wanted to say it out loud. It's not been a marriage as such for a long time. So from my point of view, at the time, I didn't feel like it was that quick, but in reality, it was ridiculous. it was somebody I already knew. We were already close friends. He was going through a similar situation. Well, he was actually getting divorced. I was playing at, you know, pretending I was going to get divorced, being separated. But at the time, maybe it was what I needed. But in reality, the only way you're really going to heal is by being on your own. And like, I keep using that word guilt. I don't mean guilt, but like I regret the fact that maybe like I've hurt people since, because I've got into relationships that I've known in my head that I don't see as permanent and I don't really like feel fully invested in, but I've kind of gone along with it at the time, and I shouldn't have done. And I don't really know why I've done that, but you kind of, I don't know, maybe you think that you can make yourself feel things that you don't and that kind of thing. But yeah, so I was talking to an ex at the weekend, and he was all like, but I wanted to marry you and this, and I was like thinking, shit, did you, like, how were we on two completely different pages? Like, that would never have even like crossed my mind. Like, I never really saw like a major future or anything like that. And then it, like, maybe at one point I tried to, or like I wanted to see that, because I knew like he was telling me he was in love with me and things, but I didn't at all. And yeah, I probably shouldn't have let it go on as long as it did, because now I look back and see like how much I hurt him, and I don't think I even realised at the time like what I was doing. I don't know, I was just kind of going along with it, and I remember I wasn't unhappy in the relationship, but I was kind of sauntering along in it. Obviously he was crazy full on, because that was, I mean, to me that was very early, because I think we'd been together like 3 months when he told me he loved me, and to me that's, I say that I was engaged after 3 months of time, so I can't really, yeah, I suppose you know what you don't, but I kind of saw it as we could have gone along at the pace that I was happy with, but for him to go at 100 miles an hour, I don't know, it wasn't right, and that's, you know, for me it wasn't right, it's the way I ended it. But yeah, I probably should have ended it sooner. I feel like I'm waffling again. But yeah,